Many descriptions of the origin of the universe suggest it began as a giant explosion of matter into a pre-existing empty void. At its inception, a dense stated energy populated an expanding three-dimensional coordinate grid. This process is called metric expansion. The Big Bang occurred everywhere at once, stretching the physical fabric of space itself. This diagram compares the two concepts. On the left, a traditional kinematic explosion is marked by an origin point and moving shrapnel. On the right, a uniformly stretching grid demonstrates metric expansion, where the distances between all points increase simultaneously. Because this expansion happens uniformly across the entire grid, the universe has no physical center and no discernible edge. Every point in the cosmos observes every other point moving away from it. Georges Lemaitre first formulated this mathematically in 1927, proposing that receding velocities of galaxies implied the universe was expanding from a hot, dense state. By calculating that expansion in reverse, cosmologists place that initial dense state at approximately 13.8 billion years ago. This presents a unique observational challenge. Physics relies on empirical testing, yet the subject here is a specific quantum event that ended 14 billion years in the past. We cannot map the Big Bang like the aftermath of an explosion. Instead, we treat it as a thermodynamic history, reconstructing the timeline using strict astrophysical forensics. Because the speed of light is finite, looking deep into space means looking backward in time. To prove the Big Bang, we require specific surviving physical evidence. The first observational pillar is galactic redshift, which provides the proof that the fabric of space is actively stretching today. The second pillar is the cosmic microwave background, the residual thermal radiation left over from when the universe was an intensely hot plasma. The third and most forensic pillar is Big Bang nucleosynthesis, the exact ratio of light elements forged in the intense heat of the first few minutes. Together, these three independent pillars allow us to trace the mechanics of the universe from the present day down to fractions of a second after its birth. The first step backward relies on Hubble's law. By measuring the redshift of distant galaxies, we observe light waves stretching toward the red end of the spectrum as the space between us and the galaxy expands. This diagram illustrates the mechanics of that expansion. It shows that a galaxy located twice as far away from the observer is receding faster, a velocity strictly proportional to its distance. The logical conclusion of this expansion is absolute. If space is expanding today, the universe was once infinitely denser and hotter.
Rewinding exactly 380,000 years after the initial event reaches the recombination epoch. Before this point, the universe was a dense fog of plasma. As it cooled, electrons bound to nuclei, forming the first neutral atoms and allowing light to travel freely through space. That ancient light was discovered in 1965 by radio astronomers Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, who detected a persistent, low-level static coming from every direction in the sky. As space expanded over 13.8 billion years, the wavelength of that first flash of light stretched, shifting from visible light into the microwave spectrum. Today, this residual glow permeates the entire cosmos. This graph displays the spectrum of that cosmic microwave background. Measurements across different frequencies show it conforms to a black-body spectrum with a peak of 2.725 Kelvin. A black-body curve is produced by matter and radiation existing in total thermal equilibrium. In astrophysics, the only environmental condition capable of producing this exact signature is the hot, dense early universe predicted by the Big Bang model. To find the third pillar, we move the timeline further back, past the origin of light, into the first 3 minutes of the universe, an era of nucleosynthesis. In this window, the universe was so hot that atoms could not exist. Instead, a plasma of protons and neutrons collided at high speeds, fusing into heavier nuclei, specifically deuterium, helium, and traces of lithium. The laws of quantum mechanics are specific. Given the temperature and density of the universe at exactly 3 minutes old, physics dictates the exact ratio of these light elements that fused. Verifying this prediction faces the chemical evolution problem. Stars are nuclear fusion reactors that constantly consume light elements and forge heavier ones. We are testing a 13.8 billion-year-old recipe in a universe where generations of stars have influenced the evidence.
To test the Big Bang's math, astronomers locate rare, pristine environments where the original primordial ratios remain untouched. Astronomers look inside low-metallicity dwarf galaxies, like Zwicky 18. These are primitive, oxygen-poor environments, making them ideal laboratories for analyzing the early cosmos. By focusing on these galaxies, researchers can measure the abundance of helium-4. However, they must account for any helium-4 produced by recent stellar activity. This scatter plot maps helium-4 against oxygen abundance in multiple dwarf galaxies. Since oxygen is only produced inside stars, the linear correlation reveals that more oxygen means higher helium-4. Astronomers extrapolate this trendline backward to a zero oxygen intercept. This zero oxygen intercept removes the variable of stellar fusion. It identifies the baseline amount of helium-4 that existed before the first stars ever ignited. This extrapolation yields a primordial helium-4 mass fraction of roughly 24. To find the final light element, lithium-7, astronomers observe the outermost layers of the oldest, coolest stars in our own galaxy. This scatter plot tracks lithium-7 against iron content in ancient stars. For the oldest of them, the data forms the Spite Plateau, a flat, constant baseline of lithium showing no variance, which indicates the gas is uncontaminated. By isolating the original mass fractions of helium-4, deuterium, and lithium-7, astrophysicists have reconstructed the elemental signature of the Big Bang. This synthesis relies on eta, the baryon-to-photon ratio. This parameter defines the density of ordinary matter relative to radiation in the early universe. This chart synthesizes the nucleosynthesis model. The y-axis plots isotope abundance against eta. The curves predict how much helium-4, deuterium, and lithium should exist. We map observed abundances as horizontal bands. The points where these bands intersect the curves dictate the early universe's density. If the Big Bang model is accurate, we can calculate the eta parameter using a completely independent method. This calculation was performed by the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, which analyzed the temperature fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background to measure the baryon density. WMAP calculated an eta value of 6.1 times 10 to the negative 10th. When that vertical line drops down, it intersects the exact crossover points of the theoretical curves and the observed abundance bands. These independent datasets, spanning billions of years and different branches of physics, arrive at the exact same physical parameter for the birth of the universe. The model is robust, though anomalies exist. The observed level of lithium-7 is lower than predicted, which researchers view as a gap in our knowledge of stellar physics, rather than a failure of the Big Bang model. We have mapped the timeline from the first trillionths of a second onward. But as we reach time equals 0, our predictive power vanishes. At the initial singularity, the mathematics of general relativity results in infinite density and space-time curvature, a total breakdown of classical physics. The Big Bang theory maps the evolution of space-time and matter from fractions of a second onward. However, the origin of the cosmos remains behind the veil of a missing theory of quantum gravity.